for today's video, we're going to show you how to replace the differential cover on this 2010 Dodge Cummins. It's the 2500. We got a new differential cover right here. Here's the new differential cover, Mag Hytec. It's got some new features, drain plug, dipstick, sorts of things, and we're going to be replacing the old one, which has seen some better days. Has some pretty good corrosion going on. So the first thing we did is take our impact wrench. It's a 12mm bolt. Go ahead and crack all those and pull the cover off.
13mm.
13mm. A few moments and talk about this differential cover, some of the features. I don't know how well it's covered on the website. So big things are your dipstick, so you can check your level all the time. Also check for contaminants that may collect, as well as the drain plug, which is right here, which I believe is actually magnetic, so it should collect metal shavings over time to prevent further damage from metal floating around. And then in addition, here at the top, they actually have a spot if you want to insert a RTD or a thermocouple, hook it up to whatever monitoring system you've got. This new one's going to hold more oil than your stock one here, which is the pamphlet they send with it. It says that you're going to need you're going to need 6 quarts to fill to the bottom of the dipstick, and 7.5 to 8 quarts to fill to the top dipstick. So I'd go ahead and pick up 8 quarts just to be safe. You can fill it all the way up. In addition, just so you know, they do call out and say you need to add a additive to the actual oil to prevent oh, disregard. For limited slip differentials, you need to add a separate compound. We're not working with that today, so we're just going to add the straight up recommended gear oil. As a reminder, there are specific torque requirements for these bolts, so when you're putting it back on, make sure you torque it to the appropriate level so that you can get a sufficient seal all the way around, and then we'll show you how we're going to torque those down to ensure that it pulls flat against the differential surface. In addition, it comes with this bag of bolts and a Allen wrench. If for some reason you don't have the stock one, as well as washers. And just so you're aware, it does change it from your standard hex head bolts to your socket head bolts. So, awesome. Make sure you got your drain pan under there and got all the valves and vents open, because there's a good amount of oil that comes out of this thing.
Yeah, that's like mud coming out of there.
What is this? You said it's 80,000 miles? 60,000 miles? And maybe more if the previous owner didn't do it. Pretty easy. Bolt undone, you can go ahead and slide the cover off. These came off really easily. Be patient with these bolts because they're obviously in a highly corrosive environment. If they rust into place, don't snap them off inside the differential. That would really suck. Well, doesn't look too bad.
No,
I expected worse.
I don't even see any metal shavings either.
Nice, man.
I expected a lot worse.
Yeah. Here, I got you.
The oil's not even completely black either.
So, pro tip on this. These little paper towels, these blue ones, cloth ones, are a little more expensive than the regular paper towels, but they absorb a lot more oil. So they're helpful. Cool. Pretty easy. Start it all off. One pro tip we thought about was have a plastic bag handy. Because when you pull that off, there's going to be a bunch of corrosion and dirt and crap you don't want to fall into the differential, especially since there's no filtration system in this oil. So go ahead and cover it up, and once you do that, you can go ahead and clean up the new surface and make sure it's nice and clean for the new gasket to go onto, because you do not want it to leak over time.
Yeah, gear oil?
Yeah, it has a unique smell. So we got the new cover already. Just a reminder, make sure you pre-lube this gasket O-ring. Helps it seal a little better. Be careful not to get any dirt in the differential. And then we'll show you how we tighten this bad boy down. Just wanted to point out a couple differences between the stock differential cover and the new one. You'll notice there's 2 bolts removed, the one here at the bottom and the one here at the top, which was in the previous cover, there and there. In addition, obviously there's a larger volume, but what you want to do is go ahead and set the 2 differential covers right next to each other, and then see where your fill hole is located with respect to the height on the cover, because as you do that, you'll actually see where the dipstick will line up with. That way when you're filling it, as you check your level, you know exactly where to fill to have the stock level. If you overfill it, you could end up putting more oil pressure on the components inside it while it's spinning, so it's important to land it right where it needs to go. All right, we got it all mounted up here. We'll just with the 2 bolts in. Keep in mind this one's a little heavier than the stock one, so when you're putting it up in there, it may be helpful to have a buddy hold it in place so you can align the holes. So we're going to be throwing 75 W90 Royal Purple in there. Tell us about why did you decide to go with Royal Purple?
It's reliable.
Nice.
In the future, I'm going with it.
Yeah. We'll see how it does. All right, pretty easy to fill. You're just gonna pull the dipstick out and then start to fill it up from the top. If you have a bottle that's larger and wider than the Royal Purple, it might help you to go ahead and take the wheel well out. When you do that, there's 2 bolts right there, and then 2 right there, and right there. All right, we started to go ahead and tighten them down. Of course, with this flat surface, you want to go across from each other. So first, we're just going to go finger tight, and then work from one side to the other. It's a 10 to 14 foot-pounds. We're going to go ahead and go all the way to the top to the 14 pounds. Make sure they're nice and snug. 14 pounds isn't much, so when you're setting your torque wrench, if you have to push on it very hard at all, double check your torque value. I would hate to strip out these bolts. It'd be real bad.
I think the torque is for the O-ring.
Right. All right, so we have put 5 quarts of the Royal Purple in, and the mark, we show them on the finger. Where's that? Right about there. So it's a little under halfway up. When we pulled the other cover off, that's where we decided we wanted the oil level to be. We read online that the manufacturer's recommendation of 6 quarts, a little high. You'll end up foaming the oil in the differential if you do that. So we're gonna go ahead and go with 5 and seal it up. And I'll put down in the comments if this differential freezes while he's going down the freeway.